feel like showing you my favorite art supplies, the things that I use on a very regular basis. So that's what we're going to do. Over the course of the few years that I've been making art, I have collected lots of different things, lots of different art supplies. But these are the ones that I usually refer back to, the ones that I reach for. And I've narrowed it down. I've pretty much eliminated my collection, kind of narrowed it down to only things that I use, basically. It's like if I have it here and I haven't used it in a while and I don't feel inspired by it, I'm not going to keep it. So I'm constantly evaluating, constantly looking for things to get rid of, or constantly asking the question of, do I want to keep this? And if the answer is no, I'm getting rid of it. And it's pretty simple. It's a very simple method. So it's very simple, and I want to show you what I have kept. Starting off real simple, nice and easy, paints, acrylic paints. I usually use acrylics. This is probably what I use least often is acrylic paint, but I do use them enough to justify buying them, lots of them. So I go to Michael's or whatever shop that I go to, doesn't really matter, and just buy some basic acrylic paints, and they end up being about $5 a tube. I also have a few golden fluid acrylic paints, right? So I got one in white and one in black. And what I end up doing is mixing the white or the black into the cheaper paints, and it makes, you got some really good high quality paints and then some lower quality paints. Mix the two, and it makes it a little bit better. Here I mixed up some. This is one from another project that I used. I just haven't used this paint yet. So I use very cheap paint brushes, just acrylic paint brushes. These are probably, I buy a pack of 4 or 5 depending on whatever. So these all came into a pack, and then these came into a pack, and they range from like $8 to $10 a pack. So it's just, I don't know, just for whatever purpose that I use them for. But my favorites are the flat brushes for acrylic paint. When I'm painting with acrylic, I usually like the flat ones, simply because you can do so much with this. You can go in here and just with a confident, thick brush stroke, you can get a good stroke, or you can just turn it up on its side and get some nice line work going on. I've only ever done this one time, but I bought some gesso, right? Some gesso to start out if I'm painting on wood or something, this is what I'll put a couple of coats on this to start to kind of like seal the wood, and it'll allow the paint to be applied onto the wood a lot better. And then I'm doing a satin varnish finish. Here's my laptop, right? And then so this satin varnish finish on the laptop. Right? So it's actually held up really well. It made it sealed it, and it's not chipping off at all. And I don't be overly nice to my technology, I just use it. So, and it ends up, it's pretty good. It hasn't scratched yet. Keeping in with the theme of paint, I use watercolors as well. Right? I also have some watercolors. This is probably the newest addition to my collection, is the watercolor. And so I just got a cheap one. Again, just if it's something that I don't do often, it's something I want to test run or just whatever, is I buy pretty much the cheapest one that I can find. And again, at Michael's, this pack cost maybe, I don't know how much it cost, maybe $15 maybe? I might even be 10. With the brushes, I use the round-tipped ones for the watercolors. And it's simply because I just like to, I don't know, I like the way it feels. Like this one specifically, it's a fat, meaty boy, and I just throw the water all over. I just kind of really get in there and have fun with watercolor. The next thing we're going to move to is this pouch. And I've shown this pouch a lot, and this is what stays on top of my sketchbook. It'll just be right on top of here, and I'll just grab my sketchbook and then, grab here, just grab this situation and draw. So everything in here, I'm always reaching for this. Boom. So keeping it real simple, right? So we got a couple of jelly roll pens, and these are used for more like the final touches of the drawing. So if I've got a big black portion and I want some white in there, I'll just use that for some white. And then for like glitter, shiny, like surfaces or whatever, I'll use this. A lot of times it's like the gleam in the eye. Like if I draw an eye, I'll put this in the eye, and it looks really cool. With the Dixon Ticonderoga, it's a good old black pencil. This is the only, if you're a starter, if you're a beginner, or whatever, this is all you need right here. Just a simple pencil, and you might need an eraser, and you might need a small pencil sharpener to keep you going. But really, like, this is where my art journey started, was with this pencil. Not this specific one specifically, but this brand and the color. I love the black ones, and I love the Ticonderoga. I just thought it was really cool. So use this and just make lines. This is my TWSBI Eco. It's made out of acrylic, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. It's got a steel nib on it. It's very cool, very cool. The reservoir is, I don't know, it's a really good pen. I like it a lot. I'm going to end up putting colored ink in this one instead of just some black eventually, whenever I actually get some. This is my Lamy Safari. It's another fountain pen. It's very cool. The texture's neat on it. It's plastic. And it is noted as one of the more indestructible ones as far as fountain pens go. You just kind of abuse it, take it with you, just abuse it, absolutely. And this one actually came, you have to unscrew the top, and it came with some pre-filled cartridges. It already had ink in there, so you just pop it in there. And then once the cartridges run out, you take the cartridge out, throw it away, and then put a new one in. But this one is a refillable one. Similar concept to this. Whoops. Similar concept to this one here. It's just a smaller reservoir. But I had to buy this one separately. The chamber here. This is a Rotring isograph. Alright? And it is a technical pen, which being the nib is a needle shaped and it's metal. And a similar concept, you keep it's got an ink reservoir, and you keep this thing full. So this right here is what I use to fill up, this is ink right here to fill up my Rotring isographs. And then for my two fountain pens, I use Noodler's black ink. The size of the pen, of the line, is enough of a difference between the two so that I can alternate between the two. And I'll use them both in a drawing. And what I usually do is reach for the 0.3 first and then get the fine details and all. And then with the 0.5, I'll use the 0.5 for outlines and deeper inky or blacks and stuff. So this one is a water-based brush nib. It's a felt nib, right? And so it makes some really cool lines. So it can go like really long, really thick lines, and it can also do some thinner lines. I usually use this one just to like black out. Just if I want to fill up some black really quickly, I'll just come in with this thing. And to be honest, this is the one that I use the least. And once this one runs out, I probably will never use it again. We've seen the jelly roll pens already. Yeah. We've also seen the Dixon Ticonderoga, yes. Just a good old permanent Sharpie. And just like the Tombow brush pen, it does a really good job of just filling in black. But the reason I'm going to ditch this one probably and just stick with this is because of this right here. You can see the difference. and how light and inconsistent this is versus this is just black. Black, black, black. You know? And Sharpies are easy to come by. You can just go to anywhere and buy a Sharpie for $1. So let's do this. As far as pens go, just some good old ballpoint pens, right? This is a Tool ballpoint pen. And what I do with this is I actually journal. And so these are my journaling pens, right? So when I journal, I reach for a ballpoint pen, a really nice ballpoint pen. The pack of these was like $10 or so, and so yeah, I like to write. So we have different variations of everything. So we've got a silver Sharpie, and then an erasable. It's a red pencil, right? So it's another variation of things I enjoy. Is this a protractor? Or is it a compass? I don't remember which one's which. But this one, when I draw circles, I use this to draw all my circles. This thing is really cool, actually. So it's rolled up nice and neat, and it has a bunch of stuff in there. So it's, again, just more, basically backups of everything. Some jelly rolls, different pencils, variations of pencils. There's a dip pen. There's a paint putty knife, or a knife for to mix paint with. Some more Sharpies. Just variations of things, right? And so this stays rolled up and tucked away over here where I can grab it. But it's not in the way, but it's not a daily reachable thing. So the final thing I want to show you is my Spectrum Noir alcohol-based markers. So when I'm feeling frisky and want to add color to something, I usually reach to one of these bad boys. And what's cool about them is that they have two nibs. A bullet nib, just like the black nib I showed you. Or this is a bullet nib, this is a brush nib. And so I usually just use the brush nib because it's nice and flexible. Ooh, that's juicy right there. It's good stuff. So these are really cool because I can come in and draw over the top of most of my inks and it won't bleed through bad. And also I can come in and mix these up pretty well. So you can come in and they mix fairly well. And so alcohol-based markers, you can mix them up and play with them and do the thing. Do it with it. So you just come in and again with this. So of course you have to, it's a bit of a tedious process, but they mix. And if you use like really good markers or specific marker paper, then it works a lot better. And I just use some Bristol board is what I end up using. As far as materials, some good Bristol, 2 distinct sides, recycled Canson. It's 96 pounds. Just a good, and you get this at Michael's. You can usually buy like a pad. It's like a buy one get one free, or buy one get one half off, something of that nature. So it's, I usually keep 2 or 3 in the arsenal at all times. And so since we're on that, this is my sketchbook. It is a moleskin sketchbook. And said sketchbook is what when I get the itch to draw, it's what I draw in every time. And this one's relatively new, so it doesn't have a ton of stuff in it. But whenever I'm just laying around, or if I'm traveling, or whatever, this is what I'm going for almost every single time, versus the pad of paper. But I do alternate between the two, and if I paint on wood or occasionally canvas. And if I do watercolor, it's pretty much only on this paper because it's the only one thick enough that I have that won't warp the paper really, really bad. And that's pretty much it. There's things here and there, tools and equipments and stuff that I use that also help the process. Like this mug here used to be a good old drinking mug, a good coffee mug, but I use it for like watercolors and stuff, like rinse off brushes and add water to the watercolor and all. And then, you got your masking tape right? And then you got your palettes and stuff, so things of that nature. Other than that, I mean, that's it. That's what I use when I make art. It's very consistent, it's very small, it's very simple, it's easy. So I hope you liked it. Thank you. Hopefully I can inspire you to do something. If you want me to try a new thing, I'm more than willing to try art supplies, always. Yeah, just let me know. What'd you think of the video? This is the Hunt Studio. See ya. Bye-bye.